they made some really terrible decisions. And it starts in verse 35, mixing with the Gentiles and learning their ways, their works. It's not that it's against Torah for you to still have interaction with friends and family that are of the world, Gentiles. Okay? And maybe we should just say it here on the teaching, just so we're clear. There is no such thing as a Gentile believer. You can be a Gentile, but once you believe, you are actually changing to an Israelite. So I love the people that go around and go, well, you know, I'm a Gentile believer. No, you're just trying to tell me you're not Jewish. I get that. But there's no such thing. It's an oxymoron. It's not a right word. Those that believe are covenanted and in the camp. What are they called? Israel. So if you're a believer and you consider yourself a Gentile, there's a disconnect somewhere. So he's saying here, those that are outside the camp, let that be a better term for Gentile. Those that are not covenanted and outside the camp, we're not to mix with them and learn their works. That's not to say you can't have any interaction with them at all, but be careful with the level of interaction. Okay, he's not saying you need to shun everybody. No, he scattered them amongst all the Gentiles all around the world so that he could then draw them back, and also the Gentiles as well. Many of you are part of that regathering. But you got to be careful of the mixing. Okay, when you put ingredients in the bowl and mix them, do they stay separate? Well, isn't the whole purpose of mixing them to make sure that they're not separate? So that they combine together? So he says that word mixing. I think that's a really interesting word. Mixing doesn't mean having a level of social interaction, because some of these people you spent your whole life getting to know, and they're very nice people. Except for belief differences, there's nothing wrong with them. Some of them, you know there's something wrong with them, and you need to change those relationships. Just like some of you were those people back in the day, and people should have stayed away from you. And you know that's to be true too, okay? But when he talks about here mixing, think about the mixing bowl and the ingredients, the combining together, the merging together. Remember, Pinchas was mentioned recently, just a couple of verses earlier, the idea of two coming together physically, sexually, that's a mixing together. So here he says, don't do that, and then because of the mixing, they learned the works of those that they were mixing with. He said here, they provoked him by their works, by their deeds. How did they do that? Well, they ended up mixing and learning the works of the Gentiles. That's how you end up with Christmas and Easter. I turn them together to Christmas. But you get them because of mixing. Okay? And learning the works of the nations and mixing them in. And so that's where it comes from. By the way, don't grab your spear and that information and get on Facebook and start lashing around at everybody. They don't know and they don't care, because it takes an eye-opening, an ear-opening, and heart-opening to receive that. You did too. Most of you, maybe a few of you weren't raised with that, but you had to go through that process. So let's be careful with the mixing with the Gentiles and learning their works. Because then because of that, they served the idols, and they became a snare to them.